Breaking news here on Tennessee Titans today as DeAndre Hopkins is going to visit the Titans this weekend on Sunday. A significant development in the free agency of Hopkins and, of course, for Tennessee. We're going to break it all down for you guys on today's show because this is why you subscribe. When big-time news happens like DeAndre Hopkins visiting Tennessee, we break it down for you. Don't miss out on any video. Make sure you guys are subscribed. By the way, if you're one of the 15 or so people that saw the video go out earlier today, that we then took down because then the Hopkins news broke literally 1 minute later, that'll be out tomorrow. So make sure notifications are set to all so you don't miss anything here at Titans Today. We'll spend the entire video, on the DeAndre Hopkins news. He was cut by the Cardinals late last month. They had tried to find a trade. They had wanted a second-round pick and a player. No one came close to saying yes. They're like, well, eat some of the money. Nobody said yes, at least offering the type of pick that would make it worthwhile for Arizona to also eat some of that money. And they say, you know what? We're done. They move on, and they cut DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans have made sense. We've talked about it on this show. They have a clear and obvious need at the wide receiver spot. Hopkins is the clear and obvious best free agent wide receiver left on the open market. So landing Hopkins, if they can pull it off, would be a significant get for the win now side of Tennessee. This is the first visit, by the way, for Hopkins, or at least the first official visit. He was in Houston, I believe, last week, and he has family there. But it does not sound like, per the actual reports of NFL Network, that it was an actual visit for Hopkins and the Texans. More of, he visited Houston, the city, not so much visited Houston, the football team. But this is official. He will visit Tennessee on Saturday. I doubt there will be any real workout stuff, but the visit is going to happen. Hopkins, meanwhile, well, he's not what he was in his prime. Although if you take the 19-game sample size, prorated for 16, it's not that far behind what maybe he did in 2019, his final year with Houston. 3 years with Arizona. I think he didn't really want to be there much anymore. I think that I don't think he got along very well with Kyler Murray. I don't think that would be the same issue potentially with Ryan Tannehill. I think he'd be much more comfortable. Plus, of course, he knows Mike Vrabel. We're going to spend a lot more time on this on today's show, but I do want to hear from you guys here. Would you sign DeAndre Hopkins if you were the Titans? Would you sign the former superstar wide receiver? It's today's pinned comment, so if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no, especially if the ad break comes here on YouTube. Take advantage. Go vote right now. I lean yes. Hopkins and Tennessee make sense for each other. The Titans have always loved their veteran wide receivers, hopefully a better result than the Julio Jones, Robert Woods era that didn't work quite as well as maybe previously had hoped it was going to. But they have a big-time need. There is familiarity with the coach, at least. Head coach Mike Vrabel was in Houston alongside DeAndre Hopkins. So there is some, now that was defense, so not like one-to-one working, but there is some familiarity between the player and the coach. And most importantly, Tennessee needs wide receiver help. This is not exactly a stacked and loaded wide receiving core that would make you feel immensely confident saying, this team's loaded. We don't need a player. We don't need a playmaker. If you were to add DeAndre Hopkins, it goes from like this is maybe one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL to, hey, it's going to actually get the job done. You have Treylon Burks, who I think can be a number one. But don't we feel better if he's the wide receiver 2 alongside Hopkins, or maybe the 1B, and then becomes the breakout year 3 year? Nick Westbrook-Akina, we'll talk about him later on in the show too. Hopkins is a significant upgrade. You can still put Kyle Phillips in the slot, and if Racey McMath, Chris Moore, NWI play your wide receiver, 4, 5, 6 special teams role, that's a much better group. If Tennessee wants to win football games right now, knowing they're still kind of doing a little bit of a reset to a certain extent, hey, adding Hopkins helps. And if you have him for this year, maybe next year too, he could maybe help out Will Levis. So you're not just in dire straits at wide receiver. And I know Ryan Tannehill would like to have Nuk Hopkins in Tennessee. More coming, but first, if you want a Titans hat, they are on sale. Get yours today, chatsports.com/Titans hats. Link will be in the comments section and in the description of today's show. They've got different styles, colors, and the t-shirt hat combo pack, the perfect Father's Day gift. Because let's be honest, have you bought your dad something yet? No, you haven't. It's okay. It's okay. Change that. Chatsports.com/Titans hats. That link, folks, once again, will be in the comments section and in the description of today's show. Now, just because Hopkins is visiting does not mean it is a guarantee he will sign, and I would not be surprised if he took other visits. And the money does matter here. It is the singular biggest reason why Hopkins wasn't traded. There was a report of he might, adjust his contract. I think he still wanted big-time money. And I think at minimum, if you are DeAndre Hopkins, and I understand why he would probably feel this way, is you aren't going to settle for a 1-year, $5 million deal probably. You're going to be looking for probably at minimum more along the lines of the Odell Beckham deal. Now, the Titans have about $8 million in salary cap space. That is doable, although not a necessarily guarantee. So I think the baseline number that Hopkins wants is the Odell Beckham deal. Odell Beckham got a shockingly large contract from the Baltimore Ravens earlier in the offseason. 1 year, $15 million total, plus incentives. 13.8 was guaranteed, which at that point, you're going to get all 15. So, it was basically a fully guaranteed 1-year deal. But the way the Ravens structured his contract with some void years, some pushed off money, the cap hit is actually less than $4 million. So that about $8 million price tag for Tennessee could fit if you gave him a similar deal to the way the Titans did, or the Ravens did, the Odell Beckham deal. But that also means you're still paying him 15, which of the $4 million you're paying him now, a lot of it's going to come next year. So that's pushing money off into the future. Titans do have plenty of cap space next year, though. So what is the percent chance that you think the Titans actually end up landing DeAndre Hopkins? Is it low? Is it 50-50? Is it high? Sound off in the comments section right now. Now, Adam Schefter had previously linked a couple different teams to DeAndre Hopkins. The Buffalo Bills, who did spend decently sized money on Leonard Floyd, might take them out of the running. The Chiefs, along with the Bills, had actually had trade talks. Nothing got that close. They signed Donovan Smith to a decently sized deal. Would they still be in the market? The Browns do stand out as a very real contender here with the presence of Deshaun Watson, although Hopkins' role in both Cleveland and Tennessee might not be the type of volume that he is searching for. The Patriots are seemingly always linked, although I do wonder if the presence of Bill O'Brien might be a negative for Hopkins. Hopkins had mentioned some quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. Those teams could certainly be in the running as well. The reason why I say yes, I have interest, these are the career stats for Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who's been a very nice find for Tennessee, don't get me wrong. But that's like a season's worth of production of what you would expect if you sign DeAndre Hopkins. So if I'm Tennessee, to wrap things up here, yeah, I have interest. That's why you brought him in for a visit. If you can make the money work, then yeah, I would probably sign him. Because I think the added playmaker at wide receiver is a need for Tennessee. This, I think, it would probably limit Burks's, or at least impact Burks's year 2 statistical impact. Maybe it would be a good thing for him in the long run. Instead of the pressure of being the only guy at receiver to a certain extent, sorry, NWI, slot receiver Kyle Phillips, adding Hopkins goes from, hey, we're banking on a massive breakout from Burks to we're still banking on one, but now we've got extra options. Now we're in much better shape in the wide receiver room, and in an AFC South that is still gettable, Tennessee can still make some noise. So we'll see what happens. We won't hear much until, Sunday, Monday, but definitely keep an eye on DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans.